My wife had always been gentle and obedient. But one day, she suddenly got a pair of dark red wings tattooed on her lower abdomen. She said, "This is a succubus tattoo for you. It means you are my master." My heart swelled with emotion, and I secretly vowed to treat her even better. Until one day, a colleague brought over a private video, and I saw an identical succubus tattoo on the female lead's lower abdomen. That's when I realized her master was someone else. My colleague Xiao Wang mysteriously insisted on showing me something good. Out of curiosity, I followed him to the restroom. I asked, "What is it? Why all the secrecy?" Xiao Wang winked, flashing a grin all men understand. "Brother Song, it's absolutely top tier. If it weren't for our friendship, I wouldn't just share this kind of benefit with anyone." Xiao Wang worked in the company's tech department and had impressive hacking skills. His only flaw was being a bit too charitable. He always loved helping out female compatriots experiencing financial difficulties. As luck would have it, last month during a Vice squad raid, the cops happened upon one of his charitable acts. He was fined $5,000 and sentenced to 15 days in detention. I pulled some strings to get him out, and he called me brother ever since. Inside the restroom, Xiao Wang locked the door, pulled out his phone, tapped a few times, and handed it to me. The phone immediately emitted suggestive panting sounds. I looked closely. A man and a woman were engaged in activities not suitable for children on the screen. I gave a knowing smile. Ever since becoming good friends with Xiao Wang, he'd occasionally share these good resources he obtained through his hacking skills. Xiao Wang was a hacker who frequently enjoyed breaking into others' computers to snoop on their privacy, reveling in it. This time, he'd probably found something good again. I was appreciating the video with gusto while discussing the woman's figure with Xiao Wang. For some reason, I kept feeling the woman's back in the video looked familiar, very much like my wife, Zhou. I shook my head, thinking I was overthinking it. Zhou was always gentle and obedient. She couldn't possibly appear in such a video. Suddenly, my gaze froze. The woman in the van turned, and as the camera swept over her lower abdomen, a pair of dark red wing-style tattoos came into view. The flow of the lines, the depth of the color, even the barely noticeable jagged pattern at the wingtips. It was exactly the same as the tattoo on my wife, Zhou's body. It was the succubus tattoo. The phone suddenly felt scalding hot. I could barely hold it. I had become the subject of my own gossip. In an instant, my brain short-circuited. I stood there stunned, unable to believe that Zhou would cheat. But that vivid succubus tattoo seemed to be silently mocking my stupidity. It was about a month ago. I saw the succubus tattoo on Zhou's lower abdomen while she was showering. I was puzzled. Zhou was always well-behaved. She never touched things like smoking or tattoos. Why the sudden interest in getting inked? Hearing my question, Zhou seemed flustered at first. Then she coquettishly said, "It's all for you." I heard this is called a succubus tattoo. Getting it means I have a master, and from now on, I only listen to my master. And you're my master. I am your slave. Look, under the two wings of this tattoo, there are two S's representing your name, Song Si. Husband, this tattoo can't be removed. It will be with me for life. You can't abandon me. I was deeply moved at the time. For a woman to be willing to tattoo my name on her body, she must love me immensely. I secretly swore to treat her even better. Because of this, I was very familiar with the succubus tattoo on Zhou's body. Every single line of it was etched into my mind. And now, the female lead in the video also had two S's within her succubus tattoo. Even the curvature was identical. Could there really be such a coincidence in the world? In an instant, I felt all the strength drain from my body. I desperately didn't want to believe that Zhou would betray me. Xiao Wang didn't notice my abnormality. He nudged my shoulder, wiggling his eyebrows, his obscene laughter ringing in my ears. "So, Brother Song, isn't she hot?" I couldn't hear anything he said after that. My mind was filled with the image of my wife, who once told me, "This is a succubus tattoo for you. It means you are my master," now in someone else's phone, showing the same tattoo to another man. Xiao Wang, not noticing my grim expression, continued on his own. "I heard this is the hottest contract tattoo now, called the succubus tattoo. Once a woman gets it, it means she has a master and belongs only to him from then on. What a pity the woman is wearing a mask. No idea who she is." Xiao Wang's regretful sigh pulled me back to reality. I only then noticed that the man and woman in the video were both wearing exquisite masks. The man's was black, and the woman's was white. They covered the upper half of their faces, revealing only rosy lips and a fair chin, making it impossible to see their features clearly. I stared at the seductive figure on the screen, suddenly unsure if it really was my wife. I thought to myself, maybe I'm overthinking it. After all, Zhou Rou had always been well-behaved and docile. How could she be as wild and promiscuous as the woman in the video? The woman in the video kept writhing, her movements agitating me to the point where I wanted to reach through the screen and rip off her mask. I forced myself to calm down. To confirm whether the woman in the video was Zhou Rou, I had to first figure out the man's identity. Zhou Rou's social circle was limited. Even if she were cheating, it would definitely be with someone we knew. Since they were both wearing masks and their faces were obscured, I could only ask Little Wang, "Where did you get this video?" Little Wang's eyes remained glued to the screen, not even looking up. "Our new boss, Xin Shua. I hacked his computer. This is from his private collection. I worked for a multinational foreign trade company. The headquarters were in the U.S., and the domestic office was a branch. Xin Shua was the new general manager, transferred from the U.S. 3 months ago. Rumor had it he had significant backing at headquarters. Little Wang certainly had guts, daring to target Xin Shua's computer so soon after he took office. Hearing that it was Xin Shua, the weight in my heart lifted considerably. Someone who had only been in the country for 3 months couldn't possibly be involved with Zhou Rou. Maybe it really was a coincidence. Perhaps the woman in the video and Zhou Rou just happened to use the same tattoo artist. I couldn't help but mock myself for overthinking, actually suspecting my own wife of having an affair. With my mind at ease, I started teasing Little Wang. "Xin Shua is our boss. After all, you actually dared to mess with his computer? Aren't you afraid he'll find out and fire you?" Little Wang shrugged nonchalantly. "TCH, it's precisely because he's our boss that I started investigating him. His computer password is just his birthday, 920804. It was easy to crack. Besides, with my skills, there's no way he'd find out." He suddenly lowered his voice. "I also found a secret on his computer. On the surface, he looks gentle and refined, but he's actually a complete predator in a suit. He loves deceiving women, taking them as slaves, and making them call him master. Every woman involved with him gets a succubus tattoo." He pointed to the woman on the screen. "Apparently, he marks every woman with his exclusive sign. Look at that succubus tattoo on her lower abdomen. The 2 S's under the wing stand for his initials, Shun Shun." My brain exploded with a buzz, blood surged to my head, and my entire body went rigid. In that moment, I was certain the woman in the video was Zhou Rou. It turned out the 2 S in her succubus tattoo didn't stand for Song Si, but for Shun Sha. Zhou Rou's master had never been me. Zhou Rou and I had been married for 3 years. For 3 years, Zhou Rou had been a quiet wife. She didn't like going out much. She spent her time doing housework, binge-watching shows, and practicing yoga, rarely interacting with outsiders. Until 3 months ago, she suddenly started dressing up. Her vanity became crowded with perfumes, her closet filled with lace lingerie, and she began going out more frequently. She said she wanted to show me her most beautiful side. At first, I was happy about her change. But it turned out her transformation wasn't for me. It was for another man. Her beauty wasn't blooming for me. I suddenly recalled certain details. Recently, whenever I tried to be intimate with Zhou Rou, she would dodge me, claiming she wasn't feeling well. Moreover, she often giggled at her phone and would sneak into the bathroom in the middle of the night to do God knows what. One time I got up for some water, I heard her softly saying to her phone in the bathroom, "As you command, master." At the time, I thought she was sleep-talking, but it turned out she was playing games with her master. Her abnormal behavior had all been there to see. I had just trusted her too much and ignored the signs. Rage surged through me, and my temples throbbed. I wanted to take the video and rush home to confront her immediately. If she really had betrayed me, I swore I would make her pay. She wouldn't take a single cent of my money. I would leave her with absolutely nothing. But on second thought, this video alone wasn't enough. Since the woman in the video was wearing a mask, it wasn't sufficient evidence of her infidelity. Besides, I was still puzzled. How exactly did she hook up with Shinshaw? They shouldn't even know each other. Seeing the solemn look on my face, Xiao Wang stopped his joking and said seriously, "Brother Song, given our relationship, just say the word. Look into Shun Shua's background for me, and also write a phone tapping program." Zhou Ro and I met on a blind date. The first time we met, she bluntly told me she needed money. She said if I could give her 500,000, she would marry me right then and there. Of course, I wasn't going to just hand money over to a stranger, but I was curious why she needed it. After looking into it, I learned that her father was a gambler who had racked up 500,000 in debt. Debt collectors were showing up every day, threatening to sell Zhou Ro to a hostess club if the money wasn't paid. She had just graduated from college. How could she possibly have the money to pay them back? So, her parents came up with a despicable plan: sell their daughter. They sent her out on blind dates, promising she would marry whoever could provide a 500,000 bride price. Zhou Ro was beautiful and had a gentle personality, making her very popular in the dating market. However, as soon as people heard about the 500,000 bride price, they all backed off. Until she met me. At that time, several of my family's properties had just been demolished, and we had received millions in compensation. 500,000 for a beautiful wife. It wasn't a bad deal. So, Zhou Ro and I got married. On our wedding night, she curled up in my arms and cried until the pillow was soaked, saying she never thought she would meet a good man in this lifetime. Although we married first and fell in love later, we were very happy after the wedding. She was gentle and considerate, deferred to me in everything, and kept the house in perfect order. That's why I never imagined a woman like her would cheat, let alone become another man's slave. When I got home, I saw my wife, Zhou Ro. Just like always, she took my bag to put it away and helped me change into my slippers, a gentle expression on her face. For a moment, I felt a bit dazed. It was hard to connect the woman I had just seen gyrating wildly in the video with her. "Honey, what's wrong?" Seeing me spaced out, Zhou Ro waved her hand in front of my eyes. "Oh, nothing. Just a bit tired from work." I kept my composure. I usually never talked about work when I got home, but this time I decided to bring up Shinshaw to test Zhou Ro. Our new boss handed me a big contract, and I'm worried I won't be able to handle it well. By the way, the new boss just came back from studying abroad. His name is Shun Shua. After saying this, I stared into Zhou Ro's eyes, observing her reaction. Sure enough, hearing Shun Shua's name, a flicker of uneasiness passed through her eyes. This made me even more certain that there was something going on between them. The slut. She feigned calmness and said, "The new boss values you, so you should do a good job." I didn't let anything show. "I'm going to be busy for a while, so I won't have time to keep you company." A glint of secret delight flashed in her eyes, but she pretended to sigh. "It's okay, work is important. You just focus on being busy. I'm used to it." Just then, her phone screen suddenly lit up. She hurriedly grabbed the phone and walked away, pretending nothing was wrong as she said, "Honey, let me go serve your dinner. Just wait a moment." I watched her retreating figure, my face darkening, because the WeChat contact name that had just messaged her was saved as Master. A moment later, she came out of the kitchen carrying the food. "Honey, you eat by yourself. My mom just messaged saying she's not feeling well and asked me to go home and stay with her tonight. I won't be eating. I'm leaving in a bit." In the past, when she said she was going home, I wouldn't ask many questions, nor would I go with her. I didn't want to deal with her parents. Every time I visited, they would find various excuses to ask for money. It was endless, so I avoided going whenever possible. Although Zhou Ro never said anything about this, she held a grudge against me for it in her heart. This time, however, I decided to act against my usual habit and go back with her. So I said, "I'll go back with you." If it were any other time, she would have been overjoyed that I offered to go home with her. But this time, she clearly froze, her expression turning flustered. She hurriedly said, "No, there's no need. It's nothing serious. If you go, she'll definitely ask for money again. Didn't you say your boss gave you a big contract? You focus on your work. I can go back by myself." Seeing her lying, I sneered inwardly. Going home was a lie. Going to meet her lover was the truth, wasn't it? This rotten woman used this excuse precisely because she knew I didn't want to visit her parents. Now that she heard I wanted to go with her, she found another reason to decline. All right then. Although I wanted to slap her, now was not the time to expose her. Hearing that I wasn't going, she breathed a deep sigh of relief and went to take a shower, humming a tune. I sat at the table, looking at the sumptuous meal with absolutely no appetite, staring at her enchanting silhouette reflected on the bathroom glass. Burning anger rose in my heart. You're just going to your mother's house. Do you really need to take a shower? Who are you cleaning yourself up for? The water was still running. I picked up her phone from outside the bathroom. Out of respect, we normally never checked each other's phones, but this time, I couldn't care less. I needed to know how she and Shinshua had gotten involved. I tried my birthday and then hers, but it kept saying the password was wrong. Suddenly, I remembered Shun Shua's birthday, 920804. I entered it, and the phone unlocked. My rage intensified another degree. The moment the screen unlocked, a message from a contact saved as Master lit up. Disgusting slave, the room is booked. Your master commands you to get here within 10 minutes. Opening WeChat, I found that the chat history between Zhou Ro and Shen Shua only went back about 3 months, matching the timeline of Shen Shua's return to the country. So, they had gotten together as soon as he came back. From the messages, it seemed they had known each other for a long time, having studied at the same university. Shen Shua was Zhou Ro's first love. That bitch had lied to me, saying she'd never been in a relationship before. After graduation, Shen Shua had chosen to go abroad for further studies, so they broke up and hadn't been in contact for 3 years. 3 months ago, after Shen Shua returned, he organized a class reunion and saw Zhou Ro again. Back and forth, old flames were rekindled, and they got involved again. I kept scrolling through the chat history, finding more and more disgusting messages. Master, today I found another excuse to not let him touch me. Am I very good? Master, I want to be your slave forever. Master, the succubus tattoo you gave me almost got discovered by him today. Luckily, I was clever and made up an excuse. He actually thought I got it for him. He'll never figure it out, will he? That I become his superior slave. So stupid. Mixed in with these filthy words were occasional nude photos sent by Zhou Ro. I couldn't believe it. Someone usually so gentle and conservative was acting so brazenly in front of Shen Shua, like a completely different person. In an instant, it felt like 1,000 sharp blades were piercing my heart. The pain was unbearable. How could she do this to me? I almost lost control, wanting to charge into the bathroom and strangle that bitch right then. Scrolling further down, I saw the latest message from Shen Shua, sent just moments ago. XX Hotel, room 702. I'm waiting for you. The sound of water from the bathroom gradually stopped. I knew Zhou Ro would be out soon. I quickly installed the spy app Xiao Wang had given me on her phone. This app was powerful. It could forward all of Zhou Ro's calls and WeChat messages directly to my phone. Xiao Wang had assured me it ran hidden in the background, completely undetectable. I calmly returned to the table, opened my laptop, and pretended to work. A short while later, Zhou Ro emerged from the bathroom. She was already dressed in beautiful clothes and wore heavy makeup. She picked up her phone, glanced at it, and then hurried out the door without even a look in my direction. I knew she had seen Shen Shua's urgent command and was in a rush. I picked up my phone and called Zhou Ro's mother, Lili. I wanted to verify if her family knew about Zhou Ro's affair. Mom, Ro told me you're sick. Are you okay? Lily on the other end was clearly caught off guard, stammering, Oh yes. Suddenly got a headache, fever, feeling unwell all over. Aya, Song Si, could you transfer me some money? I need to buy medicine. This old woman never missed a chance to ask me for money. Before, out of consideration for Zhou Ro, I'd occasionally give her some. Now, I treated it like she was farting. Hearing her vigorous voice, I sneered inwardly and continued. Ro rushed over to be with you. Has she arrived yet? Yes, she's here. She said she has diarrhea and is in the bathroom right now. Should I have her call you back later? She had only just left a few minutes ago. There was no way she could have arrived so quickly. Lily was lying. Oh, good that she's there. I was just worried about her. No need to call back. I hung up after saying that. It seemed I was the only one kept in the dark. Sure enough, right after I hung up, a message came through from the spy app. I could hear Zhou Ro answering a call from Lili. Lili's voice came through. My dear young lady, are you out dating your old flame again? Songsi already called me. Zhou Ro's location showed. She had just arrived at the hotel entrance. To see her master, she had practically jogged the whole way. I could hear her panting as she said, "Don't mind him. If he calls again, just cover for me. I can cover for you for a while, but you can't meet him so frequently. You can't hide fire with paper. What if he finds out?" Shen Shua said he'll transfer 100,000 to you in a few days to thank you for keeping it secret for him. You got it. Leave that cuckold Songsi to me. I won't let him find out a thing. You just have a good date with my good son-in-law. That was just Li Li's nature. She treated whoever gave her money well. Hearing there was 100,000 involved, she even changed her address for Shinshaw to good son-in-law. Little did she know, her actual son-in-law was listening in on their call. Li asked with a chuckle, "Hey, by the way, when are you divorcing Songsi and marrying Shinshaw?" "Soon. It won't take long. I'm here, I can't talk right now." Hearing that her daughter was about to hang up, Li hurriedly added, "Shinshaw promised me a bride price of 1 million. You have to remind him not to forget." "Got it." Zhou Ro had already reached the room door and hung up the phone impatiently. From their conversation, it wasn't hard to see that Li was selling her daughter all over again. Unlike when she sold her to me, the price this time was 1 million. Shinshuo really was generous. No, wait, it couldn't be counted as selling. This time, Zhou Ro was willing. One thing puzzled me, though. Since she wanted to divorce me, why didn't Zhou Ro bring it up earlier? And, judging by her recent behavior, there hadn't been anything abnormal. So, what exactly was she plotting? Was she after money? Shinshuo wasn't short of money and could also provide her with a wealthy life. Moreover, Zhou Ro wasn't stupid. She should know that if we divorced, given my capabilities, I wouldn't let her take a single cent. I felt there was something fishy going on, as if a fog was obscuring the truth. The next day, I secretly installed surveillance cameras at home, hoping to catch some clues. Zhou Ro didn't come back. I assumed she had been out partying too hard that night. I dialed her number, and it took a long time before she picked up. "Hubby, what's wrong?" Her voice came through the phone, sounding somewhat hoarse. "Damn it, that bitch." I cursed silently, but kept my expression calm. "Is Mom doing any better? Why does your voice sound a bit hoarse?" The bitch lied without skipping a beat. "Mom is much better. I might have caught what she has. It's nothing. I'll be fine after some sleep." "I bet you only got like that after sleeping with someone." I decided to give her one last chance to see if she would tell the truth. "Wifey, is there anything you want to tell me?" She was silent for a moment, then said, "Hubby, I love you. Work hard." In the past, hearing her say, "I love you," would have made me very happy, but today, I only felt disgusted. The chance had been given. Since she didn't cherish it, she couldn't blame me for being ruthless. "Okay, I'm going to the US on a business trip for a few days. I'm leaving today. Don't worry, I'll hold down the fort at home." I could even hear a hint of secret joy in her voice. As soon as I arrived at the office, I was called in by Shunsha. I never liked Shinshua to begin with. Before he arrived, I was the one most likely to take the position of general manager for the branch office. But it's all about who you know. He had connections at headquarters, so he parachuted in and snatched my spot. Shinshua's competence was mediocre, and he was incredibly greedy. The people under him didn't really respect him, but because he had connections and occasionally landed a few big orders, his position became increasingly secure. Seeing me enter, he said hypocritically, "Little Song, how is that order you're following coming along?" The order he referred to was a new American client I had negotiated with a while ago, a massive foreign trade deal worth $300 million. If this deal went through, it would equal half a year's performance for the branch office, and I would very likely replace him. "Oh, no major issues. I'm flying to the US today to finalize the details." I was afraid he would try to sabotage it, so the sooner, the better. My plan was to sign this big order as quickly as possible, then collect evidence of Shun Shua's embezzlement. After that, I would lay my cards on the table with the U.S. headquarters, drive Shin Shua out, and leave him with nothing. Then I'd see if Zhou Ro would still follow him. And given the character of Zhou Ro's parents, those two gamblers, it surely wouldn't take long before their family owed another massive debt. When that happened, Zhou Ro might genuinely be sold off to a hostess club. Even if she knelt and begged me then, I wouldn't forgive her. "That's good. Go early, settle it early. Song C, if you sign this order, you'll have done a great service for our company. Shun Shua spoke insincerely, then suddenly revealed a meaningful smile. Don't worry, leave things at home to me. He thought I didn't know what he meant by home, deliberately gloating in front of me. Watching his smug expression, I unconsciously clenched my fists, thinking to myself, you adulterous couple, I will make you regret this. That same day, I boarded the plane to the U.S. As soon as I arrived at the hotel, I opened the home surveillance feed. Sure enough, Shun Shua was wearing my pajamas, lying in my bed, and holding my wife. The two had obviously just finished having sex. Their faces were still flushed. I downloaded and saved the video as evidence of her infidelity during our marriage. Combined with the chat logs on her phone, I was confident I could make her leave the marriage with nothing. Just then, Shun Shua spoke up. Song Si is working his life away abroad, while I'm here, taking care of his wife. I really am a considerate good boss. You're so bad, Zhou Rou said, looking coy. Shun Shua gave her a kiss and continued. Song Si went to the U.S. today to negotiate with a client. Before he left, he was worried I'd sabotage him and ruin the deal. Little does he know, getting him to sign this deal is exactly what I want. Before they sign the contract, I'll give you the version I prepared in advance. You just need to find a chance to swap them. The bank account listed in that contract belongs to a shell company I had someone set up in Switzerland. No one could trace it. When the time comes, his client will transfer the money into my account. We take the cash, and he takes the fall. Zhou Rou immediately let out a coquettish laugh. Song Si, that idiot. He's counting money for the people selling him out. Once this succeeds, will take the money and live the high life. Hearing this, my head buzzed, and my pupils constricted sharply. My fingernails dug into my palms, piercing the skin, yet I felt no pain. So that was their plan. It was true. Once a contract was reviewed, I generally wouldn't pay attention to the content again and would just take it to sign with the client. If Zhou Rou, the person sleeping beside me, secretly swapped it during that process, I would never discover it. Even if I were extra careful and reviewed it again before signing, I would only look at the contract terms, not pay attention to the bank account information. Furthermore, foreign trade companies often set up shell companies in other countries to minimize taxes, so the client wouldn't go out of their way to verify the account information either. The down payment for this deal was $100 million. That meant if their plot succeeded, Shun Shua would get $100 million for nothing, while I would go to prison as the scapegoat. Damn it. This pair of adulterous scum was too vicious. Zhou Rou, I believe I treated you well. I paid off your family's gambling debts and cared for you with all my heart. Yet this is how you treat me. And Shun Shua, not only did you cuckold me, but you also want to send me to prison. That way, no one can threaten your position as general manager. Killing two birds with one stone. What a calculated move. I wanted nothing more than to fly back immediately and stab them both to death. But the last moment, I realized that sacrificing myself for these two animals wasn't worth it. I forced myself to swallow my rage. Killing them would be letting them off too easily. I wanted to make them wish they were dead. Sometimes, living is crueler than dying. Since you lack humanity, don't blame me for being ruthless. A plan began to form in my mind. Before I went abroad, Little Wong gave me a USB drive containing the information on Shun Shua that I had asked him to investigate. The files contained evidence of Shun Shua embezzling and misappropriating public funds over the past 3 months. This evidence was enough to send him to prison, but I didn't plan to expose him just yet. He was still useful to me. The files indicated that Shun Shua's backer at headquarters was the daughter of the group's owner, Bai Xiaoi. Shun Shua had been pursuing her. Although he hadn't succeeded yet, his sweet talk had earned him some favor with Bai Xiaoi. It was she who had arranged his position as general manager of the branch company. Zhou Rou, oh Zhou Rou, you actually think Shun Shua is sincere about you, little knowing that to him, you're just a plaything. I didn't believe for a second that Shun Shua would give up Bai Xiaoi for Zhou Rou. His real plan was probably to dump Zhou Rou as soon as he got the money, then turn around and marry the wealthy heiress. I suddenly found myself wanting to see the look on Zhou Rou's face when she got dumped. Seeing her regret would be very interesting. I shook my head. Forget it. I couldn't gamble with my own life. She wasn't worth it. Bai Xiaoi was in the and nominally, I was her subordinate. It was the perfect opportunity to meet her under the guise of reporting on work. I met the group's heiress in her office. She lived up to the title of a wealthy beauty. She was stunning, leagues above Zhou Rou. Moreover, she was a top Harvard graduate with immense capability, certainly no mere flower vase. When she saw me, she personally pulled out a chair for me, which flattered me. She smiled and said, "You must be Song Si. I know of you. You're very capable. You're here in the U.S. for that $300 million deal." Yes, the negotiations are essentially complete. The client will return to China with me tomorrow to sign the contract. I replied, neither humble nor arrogant. $300 million. That's a major deal, even for headquarters. You really are excellent, Bai Xiaoyi remarked with admiration. The reason Bai Xiaoyi valued me so highly was that this was a premium client. He brought not just $300 million now, but if this deal went well, there would be another $300 million every year. With a performance record like that, giving me a position as general manager of a branch company would be more than justified. Ms. Bai, I actually came here to show you something. I explained the purpose of my visit, handed her the USB drive, and showed her the evidence of Shen Shua's embezzlement along with the video of his affair with Zhou Rou. Bai Xiaoyi's expression darkened as she watched, and she remained silent for a long time. After a while, she regained her composure as a formidable businesswoman and asked, "What do you want to do?" I hadn't shown her this evidence to bring Shen Shua down immediately. The paltry sum he had embezzled would only get him a few years in prison, far short of my expectations. Moreover, if Bai Xiaoyi decided to protect him, he might not have to serve time at all. That wasn't the outcome I wanted. I wanted him to rot in prison. All I needed was a stance from Bai Xiaoyi, for her to see Shen Shua for who he really was and withdraw her support. I hope that after I sign this deal, President Bai will promote me and sue Shen Shua on behalf of the company. I specifically mentioned signing the deal to signal to Bai Xiaoyi that if she didn't agree, there was no guarantee who would land this major contract and premium client. Bai Xiaoyi understood my underlying meaning. She scrutinized me for a long while before saying, "Agreed." The deal was struck, but Bai Xiaoyi didn't know my true objective, nor did I reveal that Shen Shua and Zhou Rou were conspiring to pocket $100 million. Tomorrow, I'll give you a surprise. When that time comes, you'll have no choice but to sue. The plane landed. I got the client settled in, then returned to the company alone. As soon as Shen Shua saw me, he said with feigned warmth, "Song Si, our great hero returns. You've worked hard. Come sit and rest." I couldn't be bothered to humor him and said coldly, "The client is ready to sign. Give me the contract." Shen Shua had anticipated this. He called over his secretary, Xiao Ma, and smiled. "The contract is printed. Take a look. If everything is in order, go ahead and sign it. I wish you success." I took the contract and checked it. The content was correct, and the bank account details were fine. I glanced at him and prepared to leave. He hurriedly stopped me. "Signing a $300 million contract is a huge event. How can you go alone? Here, let my secretary Xiao Ma go with you to provide support." I knew he wanted to send someone to monitor me and prevent any mishaps. Fine, that was exactly what I wanted. In that case, I said, "Xiao Ma, you hold the contract. Let's go. Since you want to switch the contracts, fine. I won't even touch it. Let's see how you explain that to the police later." After Xiao Ma and I left, Shen Shua looked up at the surveillance camera, feeling smug. He laughed. "You've already verified the contract on camera. Once something goes wrong, let's see how you talk your way out of it." As soon as we stepped out, Zhou Rou called. "Husband, help." Over the phone, Zhou Rou said she was in terrible pain, sounding like a sudden illness, and begged me to come home immediately. Seeing this, Xiao Ma said, "Director Song, we still have time. Why don't we swing by your house to check on her?" I laughed coldly inside. I knew from the spyware on Zhou Rou's phone that Shen Shua had just called her, instructing her to trick me into coming home so they could switch the contracts. Perfect. I decided to play along. All right, let's go to my place. On the way, the camera in the car was pointed at the contract, proving no one had touched it. I guessed that once we arrived, Xiao Ma would definitely insist I take the contract, setting me up to be framed for swapping it inside the house. Sure enough, when we arrived downstairs and I was about to get out, Xiao Ma stopped me. "Director Song, you should hold the contract. It's not safe to leave it in the car." I smiled. With Secretary Ma here, Surely nothing could happen to the contract? Xiaoma gave an awkward smile. This is a 300 million contract. I can't shoulder that responsibility. It's better if you hold on to it for peace of mind. I took the contract, gave a meaningful smile, and turned to go upstairs. When I got home, I saw Zhou Ro lying on the bed, looking in pain. I scoffed internally. She certainly had a talent for acting. Suppressing the urge to slap her, I casually tossed the contract onto the bed and feigned concern. Ro, what's wrong? Husband, my chest hurts. Quick, go to the study and get my medicine. Zhou Ro feigned unbearable pain to solicit my concern and send me away. Okay, wait a moment. I'll be right back. I hurriedly ran out of the bedroom. Inside the study, I pulled up the bedroom surveillance feed. Sure enough, I saw Zhou Ro quickly pull a prepared contract from under the covers, swap it with the one I had thrown on the bed, and then resume feigning illness. If I hadn't installed the hidden camera to record the switch, with her and Xin Shuo insisting I was the one who changed it, I would have been utterly unable to defend myself. With my own wife testifying against me and no evidence to prove my innocence, it's obvious who the judge would believe. The timing was about right. I returned to the bedroom with the medicine. Ro, take some medicine so you'll feel better soon. Zhou Ro took the medicine and swallowed it, then sat up and said, Honey, I feel much better after taking the pill. I've held up your work long enough. I'm fine now. You should hurry back and get to it. Was it a magic pill? Cured instantly? That was some terrible acting. I knew she was just afraid of complications and was rushing me to go sign the contract. Naturally, I played along with her deception, picking up the contract and heading for the door. The moment I pushed it open, Xiaoma was waiting right there. Seeing me emerge, he immediately took the contract with excessive attentiveness, terrified I might notice something amiss. With my deliberate cooperation, the signing went smoothly. The client said they would wire the down payment later that day, a full 100 million. When I returned to the company that day, I was surprised to see Zhou Ro. She was chatting and laughing with Xin Shuo, no longer bothering to hide it from anyone. Upon seeing me enter, she tossed a divorce agreement right in front of me. Sign it. We're getting a divorce. Fine, but you at least owe me a reason. At this point, I was surprisingly calm. I did love Zhou Ro once, but the moment she cheated, that love vanished. I never loved you to begin with. I only chose you because you paid off my 500,000 debt, and I didn't have a better option. But now, the man I actually love is back. Zhou Ro wore a look of indifference, a stark departure from her usual gentle demeanor. I sneered. The man you're talking about is Xin Shuo, isn't it? Hearing that name, Zhou Ro visibly froze, clearly not expecting that I already knew about their relationship. But she didn't care. The deed was done, so it didn't matter whether I knew or not. She intimately hooked her arm around Xin Shuo's and said, So what if it is? I'm not afraid to tell you. I've already slept with him. You've been cuckolded. The tattoo on my body? He tattooed it on me, inch by inch. She spoke so brazenly, as if her infidelity were somehow justified. Beside her, Xin Shuo looked at me with mockery and contempt, striking the pose of a victor. Zhou Ro added, Don't worry, I won't take a penny. I'm leaving with nothing but the clothes on my back. I don't care about your little bit of money. Compared to Xin Shuo, you're nothing. In her mind, Xin Shuo was about to get 100 million, so she truly looked down on my assets of a few million. Plus, according to their plan, I was about to go to prison. She was afraid of being implicated and wanted her freedom as soon as possible, which was why she was willing to walk away with nothing. Fine, just don't regret it. I signed my name without hesitation. Zhou Ro hadn't expected it to go so smoothly and was a bit taken aback by how readily I signed. But the thought of the imminent 100 million made her cast that doubt aside immediately. She hurriedly snatched up the divorce agreement and put it away safely, terrified I might change my mind. Just then, Bai Xiaoyi suddenly appeared with a group of police officers and secured the scene. Seeing the police, Xin Shuo immediately launched into an accusation. President Bai, officers, I suspect Song Si has abused his position to alter the bank account information in the contract, causing a loss of 100 million to the company. Arrest him immediately. Bai Xiaoyi's eyes were cold, her voice thick with anger. Song Si has already submitted evidence of your crimes to the police. Xin Shuo, I am deeply disappointed in you. An officer slapped handcuffs onto Shun Shua's wrists and said coldly, "Shin Shua, is it? You're under suspicion of colluding with Zhou Rou to embezzle company funds and frame others. We have both witness testimony and material evidence. You're coming with us." Shin Shua was dumbfounded and screamed, "You've got the wrong person. It wasn't me, it was Song Si. The video of you and Zhou Rou plotting to frame Mr. Song, as well as the evidence of Zhou Rou swapping the contracts, is right here," the officer said, holding up a USB drive. "Miss Bai Xiaoyi has already pressed charges against you. The 100 million is currently unaccounted for. We expect you to confess everything, cooperate with our investigation, and return the money." "The money was paid?" "No, that's wrong. I haven't received the money yet." "Where did the money go?" Shin Shua was bewildered. Suddenly, he looked at Zhou Rou with a crazed expression. "It was Zhou Rou. It was that bitch. She did all of this. She seduced me into framing her husband, and now she's embezzled the money herself. That vicious woman. Arrest her." It all happened too fast. The sudden turn of events left Zhou Rou frozen on the spot. Shun Shua's accusations made her feel as though she had been plunged into an ice cave. She never imagined that the man she loved would shove all the blame onto her when push came to shove. Zhou Rou shot up, wanting to defend herself, but swooned from the sudden rush of emotion. After a moment, she regained her senses and finally grasped the situation. She turned her pleading eyes toward me, then suddenly threw herself forward, hugging my leg as she knelt on the floor, wailing, "Honey, I was wrong. Please forgive me. It's all my fault. I must have lost my mind. For the sake of our 3 years together, please, just let me go, okay?" "Forgive you? After everything you've done to betray me, how could I possibly forgive you?" I kicked her aside, my voice cold. "Why are you begging me? I'm not your master. Don't you have your master's mark on your body? Go beg him." Zhou Rou was terrified. 100 million. If the charges of joint fraud with Shan Shua stuck, she was looking at a minimum of 20 years behind bars. For a woman to spend her prime years in prison, that was a fate worse than death. At that thought, she snatched a pen from the desk, lifted her shirt, and violently gouged at the tattoo on her lower abdomen. The tip of the pen sliced through her skin, carving open wound after wound until blood streamed down. "Hubby, look, I crossed it out. I've cut ties with Shun Shi. Tattoo a new one for me. I'll be your slave and yours alone. Okay? Sob, hubby, I was truly wrong. Please forgive me." Zhou Rou cried her heart out, clinging to my leg and refusing to let go, letting her blood stain my trousers as if she were truly remorseful. The police officers, seeing her self-mutilation, immediately moved to stop her, but it was too late. Her skin was already riddled with wounds. Even so, my heart remained cold, without a flicker of hesitation. A woman branded by another man no longer held any value. You should have thought of this sooner. Leaving behind those cold words, I turned and walked away. The evidence was irrefutable, and since the money wasn't recovered, Shun Shua was sentenced to life imprisonment. He would truly rot in prison. Zhou Rou, as an accomplice, received a fixed-term imprisonment of 20 years. She was 27 this year. By the time she got out, her youth would be long gone. That is, if she could even survive until her release. However, word had it that right up to the end, they were biting at each other's throats, accusing the other of hiding the money. They never suspected me, because the surveillance footage showed I had never even touched the contract. While in prison, Zhou Rou requested to see me multiple times, but I refused them all. After the divorce, we were strangers. There was no need for further entanglement. All I could do was wish her well in her studies. If she learned a trade inside, maybe she could still scrape together a living once she got out. Zhou Rou's parents, having borrowed from loan sharks to fuel their gambling, were eventually hacked to death on the streets. As for me, I took a long vacation to travel the world. One day, on a cruise ship in the Pacific, Bai Xiaoyi appeared before me and said huffily, "Song Si, you're out here living it up while I'm stuck cleaning up your mess." Although the 100 million had vanished, the contract signed with the client remained. The obligations had to be fulfilled. Otherwise, the penalty for breach of contract would be enough to make the company suffer greatly. Bai Xiaoyi had been running herself ragged over this lately, though fortunately, she managed to raise the funds to supply the goods. For the company, this client was crucial and the contract highly profitable. Worst case scenario, the first order was a wash, but the annual profits thereafter would still be substantial. I smiled. To what do I owe the honor of the eldest young Mrs. Personal visit? Before traveling the world, I had submitted my resignation, but Bai Xiaoyi had never approved it. Bai Xiaoyi's expression was serious. Song Si, that 100 million ended up in your account, didn't it? Although you were extremely discreet, and the bank account in the contract was an anonymous Swiss account, I've thought it over and over. You were the only one who had the opportunity to swap the contracts. Those two idiots, Shen Shuo and Zhou Rou, thought they were scheming against you, never realizing they were the ones being used. You, Song Si, are the real winner. Bai Xiaoyi lived up to her reputation as a business elite. She actually guessed the truth. Indeed, Zhou Rou wanted to pull a switcheroo on me. Little did she know, while I was in the U.S., I had already remotely directed Xiao Wang to enter my home and swap out the contract she had prepared. The new contract contained the account number of my shell company. So, that 100 million had indeed been transferred to my account. However, I certainly wasn't going to admit it. President Bai, you shouldn't say things like that without evidence. Xiao Wang had long since destroyed the evidence. I gave him 10 million for his trouble. The kid is probably out being charitable again. Bai Xiaoyi knew I wouldn't admit to it, and she didn't press the issue. Her purpose this time wasn't to assign blame, but to find an ally. Although she was a high-ranking executive and the chairman's daughter, she had a younger brother who rivaled her influence. Her father was about to retire, and it was a critical time for the election of the new chairman. She urgently needed to build up her own forces. The reason she had supported Shen Shuo before wasn't because she was charmed by his sweet words. It was because the Greater China region was the group's most important branch, a crucial bargaining chip that she had to hold in her own hands. Now that Shen Shuo was locked up, her brother had already started making moves. If one of his people secured that position, she would be in danger. Therefore, she urgently needed one of her own people. And I, Song Si, being the most competitive candidate in the branch, was the person she had to win over. I've rejected your resignation. The company needs you. As long as you come back, the position of branch manager is yours. Hearing her promise, I smiled but remained silent. After all, her younger brother had made me the exact same promise earlier. Given the same conditions, why should I choose you? I smiled and said, but I'm not lacking money right now, nor do I have any interest in that position. Then what do you want? Bai Xiaoyi asked anxiously. I spread my hands. Wife. After all, having just gone through a divorce, what does a single man need most? With a beauty like Bai Xiaoyi delivering herself to my doorstep, I'd be a fool to refuse. My answer clearly caught Bai Xiaoyi off guard. She froze for a moment, and after a long pause, her face flushed slightly. Fine. As long as you support me, I will marry you. Now, it was my turn to be shocked. I had only mentioned it in passing. I had planned to leverage her refusal to negotiate for greater benefits. I never expected she would actually agree. She seemed to read my confusion and smiled. In families like ours, if we fail in the competition for succession, we are reduced to mere pawns for marriage alliances. Rather than being married off to a complete stranger, I'd much rather marry you. After all, you're good-looking, and I've already witnessed what you're capable of. She suddenly leaned in close, her sweet breath fanning against me. You'll give your own woman your full support, won't you? How could I possibly resist such temptation? I immediately scooped her up into my arms and headed for the cabin.